Hello, my name's Michael Conneely, and I'm speaking to you from near our healing centre and Airbnb in the far west of Ireland. I've just done a video about the astrology of 2017, the general astrology, drawing the general map of the landscape ahead for 2017. Now this one just focuses on Saturn in 2017, and there'll be other videos on the other planets and their effects in 2017. So basically, hear this information, and for more, get in touch with me for a reading at my starwheelastrology.com website, or enroll on my Vedic Foundation course, mastervedicastrology.com, or my Western astrology course, enlightenedastrologycourse.com, or my specialist advanced prediction course. All the website addresses are down there beneath the video in the YouTube write-up and in the separate blog. And the thing about my readings and the courses, they're very, very caring. So you can go at your own pace, you can enroll on a course anytime. You get wonderful information and totally individual supportive discussion. And always, it's not just formula, it's not just mathematics. It's always authentic and grounded and linked to healing and empowerment. So if you're doing a course with me, you study two charts always, your chart and my chart. And that keeps it really honest and authentic. So, Saturn in 2017. Well, as I've just been saying in the 2017 general video, Saturn crosses from Vedic Scorpio to Vedic Sagittarius 3 times. The 26th of January 2017, the 21st of June 2017, and finally the 26th of October. And again, as I've been saying in the general video, the crossing from Vedic Scorpio to Vedic Sagittarius is called a Gandanta zone. It's a particularly vulnerable, sensitive zone. There are 3 of them in the Vedic zodiac, the sidereal zodiac. And it'll be a difficult energy for everyone, but particularly if you have planets in the Gandanta zone. And very briefly, I would say that's up to 2 degrees before and 1 or 2 degrees after. We always feel things more in the applying phase. Some people draw the Gandanta zone tighter than that. And of course, the closer a transiting planet or a birth planet is to the 0 point, the more we feel the energy. So, Saturn doesn't really get very far into Vedic Sagittarius. By the end of the year, it's only at 7. And so, Saturn retrogrades back for the period June to October 2017 back into Vedic Scorpio. And I'll just briefly say the sort of things you need to understand about the Gandanta zone, the crossing point. Well, basically, it takes away the enjoyment of reality. In a way, it's like a void opens. So if a transiting planet is there, and that will affect our minds, or if a birth planet is there, this world isn't really there. If you have sun there, it means your father wasn't really there for you. If you have moon there, your mother was not there for you. The effects of this are huge. You have to learn to heal and empower and live with. And so, what does Saturn do? Well, Saturn grinds away at your blocks. He creates pessimism, he creates suffering. Actually, it's not him creating the pessimism and the suffering. It's we feel the pessimism and the suffering because we're resisting what must let die. We're resisting what should no longer be part of us. We're resisting what should never have been part of us, perhaps was imposed upon us. And then when we learn Saturn's message, and you can work with me to define that, you're freed up, you experience golden reaping, you become a larger self. And this zone is quite difficult because in terms of the lunar signs of Vedic astrology, the last lunar sign of Scorpio is Jyesta. The first lunar sign of Vedic Sagittarius is Mula. Now, Jyesta is all about really success and being the eldest, and it's quite material in many ways. I'm making a separate video about that. So it's quite materialistic. But when you cross into Mula, that is a sattvic sign. It's orientated to what is spiritually true. It really challenges you. And the deities speak for themselves. The ruling god, the ruling deity of Jyesta is Lord Indra. He wields a thunderbolt. He's portrayed as, the god who brings rain to the agricultural society. The ancient gods are like a refraction of the divine, just as we are ourselves. And so we can perceive them fairly imperfectly or more perfectly. But, Indra is a most powerful god, like Thor of the Norse. But then, when, Saturn transits into Mula, a new deity takes over, Niriti. Niriti is the goddess of death and destruction. She's like a shamanic, she's like a shamaness, the sort of drumbeat of death and rebirth. She, if something in your life isn't true, you can't mess with Niriti. So, I'm trying to say that this transit of Saturn demands truth, and it demands confrontation with material issues and spiritual issues. And it demands understanding of what the Gandanta zone is, this weird zone where the true reality, the physical reality, or what we call the true reality, is revealed not to be reliable. And we are opened to the deficiency of the reliable and have to make great spiritual learning to deal with that. But there's just a second feature about Saturn transits in 2017 or any year, and that's Sade Sati. Now, I actually do a Sade Sati mini course where you can study with me your past Sade Satis, a present one, if there is one, and a future one, and mine. And we work together at what is the spiritual meaning of Sade Sati. So very briefly, Sade Sati is a 7.5-year Saturn transit. 3 sets of 2.5 years when Saturn goes through the sign before your birth moon, the sign of your birth moon, and the sign after your birth moon. It is really important to know what Sade Sati means and when it's happening in your life. Otherwise, you will be so disorientated. There are 4 exception signs where you can experience success as well as the difficulties. But the difficulties basically are like going down into a pit. And the bottom of the pit is when Saturn actually hits your moon, and then you start coming up again. It's, often at the beginning of Sade Sati, you'll experience a separation, a death, a big move needed, so that you can just let go of life that had wrong characteristics for you. Become open. And the 2 most difficult parts are actually identified by nakshatra study of Saturn's position. The nakshatras are the 27 lunar mansions, the 27 lunar signs of Vedic astrology, which depict our emotional reality and our consciousness arising therefrom. Very, very, very powerful and beautiful. And Sade Sati technically starts when Saturn transits into the 25th nakshatra from the nakshatra occupied by your moon. And that's called our Manasa Nakshatra, our default state of consciousness. And we learn so much when Saturn highlights our state of consciousness through the lens of the qualities of that Manasa Nakshatra. We can suffer great emotional pain if we don't know what's going on, if we don't use appropriate methods to stabilize our life. Live patiently, live quietly, keep continuity, maybe do, say, 108 Shiva mantras every morning. That's one thing that does help stabilize. And then, just before Saturn gets to the moon, there's actually a sort of honeymoon stage, and people think, it's all fine, get a bit arrogant maybe, and then Saturn actually hits the moon, And really we're confronted with a great difficulty. And then there's a final difficulty when Saturn leaves the sign after the moon, and he really says, okay, you've got to tidy up these points of your life path, your scripts, your assumptions. You've got to finish the job. And so basically, just to say that when Saturn is in Scorpio, as he is until January the 26th, 2017, people with moons in Vedic Leo are finishing off their Sade Sati, like the final reckoning, as it were. And people with moons in Scorpio are obviously in intense Sade Sati, especially if their moon's at the end of Scorpio. But when Saturn crosses the Gandanta zone into Vedic Sagittarius, well, clearly people with moons in Capricorn will suddenly find they've entered Sade Sati. And isn't it good to hear the dates, to know what's expected? You know, get in touch with me for a course, a mini course or a reading. So basically, remember that Sade Sati affects 4 Vedic signs in 2017: Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius and Capricorn. And of course, it's if your moon's in the earlier part of Vedic Capricorn that you'll feel it the biggest from January the 26th. There'll be a bit of a let-off when Saturn drops back into Scorpio from June to October, but then it really settles down, and indeed Saturn's indecision about where he is, in Tamas or in Sattva sign, will make you very unsettled all through 2017 potentially, as you're facing Saturn's messages around materiality and Saturn's messages around your spiritual embracement. So, it is so worth studying your Sade Sati. You know, enroll on a course, enroll on my Sade Sati mini course, or have a reading. Thank you.